If you told me Wes Lee is going to turn on the Rascalz in the year 2024, I would not have believed you. Nobody would have believed you. The whole world would have called you a liar and said you're just fantasy booking. But what happened in the main event of tonight's NXT? I just told you. Wes Lee turned on the Rascalz. He screwed them over. He turned on his friends. So let's look at what happened on tonight's episode of NXT, and more specifically, what happened with Wes Lee and how he turned on his friends. The show opens with a match. Trick Williams goes up against the boring and bland Pete Dunne. And it's strange to me how Pete Dunne used to be one of the best and most over talents in NXT, but now he feels like a vacuum sucking the life out of the place whenever he's on screen. And this isn't representative of his wrestling quality though. He can put on a great match with anyone, but outside of the ring, there's nothing that can make me invest in him. And that makes it even worse that he wins, defeating Trick Williams. You really shouldn't have your hottest superstar lose to the likes of Pete Dunne. But again, you also shouldn't have Pete Dunne losing with this main roster push he's having recently. And if Trick gets his lick back, which he definitely should, then what's the point of all of this? At the Hank and Tank barbecue, Lexis King is trying to be a DJ to upstage Eddie Thorpe, but they kick him out because nobody likes his music. And Robert Stone and Stevie Turner also continue their sibling-like rivalry, having a wing-eating competition, with Ava looking on like the disappointed parent. Nathan Frazier wishes Ethan Page good luck for his title match tonight, but Ethan Page, he doesn't take kindly to this and points out that Nathan Frazier is actually the one who needs this good luck because his partner Axiom has been nowhere to be found. Back into the ring, we have our first championship match with my queen Kalani Jordan defending her women's championship against Tatum Paxley. The crowd is really into Tatum and I don't blame them, but my personal bias is towards Kalani. The match spills to the outside very early on, and Tatum injures Kalani's leg after she gets distracted by one of Tatum's dolls under the ring. Wendy Chu also comes to ringside during the match, that is important later on. And despite her leg injury, Kalani manages to hit this sweet one-legged move from the top rope and picks up the victory. Outside of the ring, Tatum is upset after her loss, so Wendy Chu hands her her doll, and the two stare down Kalani. And just when you think there's going to be this new alliance formed, Wendy puts Tatum in a sleeper hold and it looks like she wants next at Kalani. I'm very happy with this decision because I've stated before that just because Tatum and Wendy both have these creepy characters, it doesn't mean they should be paired together as a team. We have this really funny backstage segment with the NQCC. If you like comedy in wrestling, you should really check this one out. Tony D'Angelo and the family then approached him and give them this ultimatum that if Ren Sinclair wins her match tonight, then he'll give Charlie Dempsey a match for the Heritage Cup next week. And to add even more stakes to all of this, Charlie Dempsey finally relents and says that if she wins, she's officially a part of the NQCC. Obafemi storms through them and he heads towards Ava's office, which transitions to Axiom and Nathan Frazier finally reuniting and preparing for their match. I want to comment on how I'm glad they didn't break up tonight with all the tension and teases that's been built up between them. But there's still a title match for them next week, so I don't want to speak too early on this. Pete Dunne is being interviewed, but he gets jumped by Trick Williams. Like I said, this feud isn't close to over, but I'd love it if we can get Sheamus coming down to NXT and teaming up with Trick Williams or maybe just helping him. And we get the world title match, which honestly, it exceeded my expectations, which were low to begin with, but you get the point. I found it very difficult to buy into the two of these men. Ethan Page hasn't felt like a true and legitimate world champ to me. Hell, even Obafemi feels like more of a world champ than he does. And Oro Mensah just isn't that main event level babyface that he's being put in the position to be, and that's definitely hurt him. But you can say this mediocre story has been saved by a good final match to conclude all of this, as Ethan Page retains. And I am curious to see who he's going to face next because I am slowly getting into him. The Rascalz are interviewed backstage and Wes Lee talks about how difficult it was for him to be all alone on NXT after Zachary Wentz left. And this was some great foreshadowing for the main event of tonight if you look back at this. Ashante Adonis is at the barbecue and he's trying to rizz up Miss Parker, but Lola Vice interrupts them and she and Jada have this squabble about wanting the women's championship. Another interruption as this performance center guy tries to rizz up all the girls too, but they all triple powerbomb him through a table. Up next, Joe Hendry makes his long-awaited NXT debut against Gallus' Joe Coffey. I've been very open about getting Gallus and Joe Coffey more wins, but I've come to accept that they're just comical brutes that always get beat up by the good guys, and it's a spot they're actually really good in. And I've also changed my opinion about Joe Hendry. Wrestling is just so much better when the crowd is engaging with what's happening, and he does this so well. The TNA crowds don't do him justice at all, and the match finishes when outside, Joe Hendry throws a chair into the hands of Wolfgang and jumps onto the table. The ref sees this and kicks them all out, and this distracts Joe Coffey and allows Joe Hendry to pick up the win. And after the match, he lets everyone know that he's going to stay in NXT a lot longer. Chase U has a brand new classroom thanks to Ridge Holland, but Duke Hudson and Thea Hale are upset about losing their title matches. Ridge Holland arrives at the class and he says he pulled his last favor and got Chase U a tag team title opportunity again. Duke Hudson is excited, but Ridge then unfortunately reveals it's not him involved in it, but instead Ridge himself teaming up with Mr. Chase. Duke looks very unhappy about this. And we get the end of the Great American Bash Barbecue. Robert Stone gets the idea that all the girls that haven't faced Roxanne Perez for the Women's Championship should face each other to determine who faces her. Stevie Turner then says he can't do that because his suit is full of sauce. She then hits him right in the face and says she'll go do it instead. The Good Brothers then arrive to the party late and they hate the drinks that is here. Hank and Tank have been saying all night long there should be no fighting at this party, and they say party's over and start fighting the Good Brothers. Ren Sinclair and the NQCC make their way to the ring. Ren Sinclair has a really cool theme song and I really love the energy of it, and also I love the energy of her. She's grown on me a lot since joining this storyline with this group, and she's going to be a perfect fit with it now that she's joining it. She faces Kendall Gray tonight, the girl that's been suplexing Miles Bourne over the past few weeks. He says he's not afraid of her at all, and he tries to interfere, but when she turns around and gets into his face, he stumbles back in horror and trips over Carly Bright. Charlie Dempsey thinks of interfering to help Ren, but he hesitates. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. She manages to win anyways. Miles Bourne happily accepts her, but Charlie Dempsey is still hesitant. I would love if this became a romance story. I think it has a lot of potential if you go that route with Ren and Charlie, and this could be something cool for the future. Obafemi gives the news that he has an open challenge for his title next week, but Tony D'Angelo walks past him and he interrupts him, saying the real scoop is that he'll be facing Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup next week. The D'Angelo family might have just messed up big time, upsetting Obafemi. I really think Charlie Dempsey is going to recapture the Heritage Cup next week because his character work definitely deserves some award. And then we can get Tony D'Angelo being the next challenger for Obafemi's North American Championship. But now it's main event time, and let's get right into the point. Axiom and Nathan Frazier defeat MSK in a fantastic main event match, but that's not what the world's going to be talking about ever. They're going to be talking about what happened after. The Rascalz have this emotional hug with each other, but Wes Lee, he switches up and he super kicks Trey Miguel. Zach Wentz can't believe what's happening. He's screaming, telling Wes Lee, "That's your brother, you can't do that." And Wes Lee kicks him right in the nuts. Wes Lee gets into his face, screams that they left him, and he continues to viciously beat them down inside and outside of the ring. And wow, just wow, I did not expect this to happen at all, especially not tonight. And you know, I was thinking, Wes might have been right. They did leave him. But then I remembered, both Wes and Zach left Trey when they came to NXT without him, and he never had any hard feelings. So Wes is definitely a heel now, and it's just going to be great and something new for him entirely. As I do on the end of each of these videos, I give the show ranking, and tonight's episode of NXT gets a 10 out of 10. Not necessarily for what happened, but for what it entailed. Over the last few weeks, I've been very disengaged with NXT. The shows haven't been very good for me. I just haven't been excited for the shows. But this show not only made me excited for next week's show, it also had my eyes glued to the screen. It was just a fantastic episode, and the future of NXT is actually starting to look very bright for me again. So I'm so happy about that. But if you've made it this far, please leave a like, please subscribe. Just let me know in the comments what you think. Leaving comments helps the channel grow. So even if you just mention your favorite superstar, I would really love that, and it would help the channel grow massively, and I would very much appreciate it. And also subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Goodbye.